It's time. Yeah. Come on in, my babies. My baby traders. I was wondering if I could see you guys over here. One second. Ah, better. Oh, yeah. All right. Woo! Yeah, we're ready. Let's do this. Let's do this. The secret, el secreto. Two glasses a day keeps the doctor away. Wow. Come on in. Come to me. Hola. All right. All right, traders. All right, traders. Welcome. Welcome to another story time with Oliver Velez. We haven't had one of these in a while. I think the last story time I did was it the Snicker bar story? Was that the one? Sorry. No.
Hola traders, un saludo. Nuevamente, momento para contar historias y creo que no hacemos esto hace mucho tiempo. Creo que la última fue la historia de la barra de sneakers.
Carolina, I love you too. I love all of you guys. I love all of you. Well, listen. The first thing I want to say is I want to say thank you for being here. This is very special to me, more special than a lot of you know. Just to have a spontaneous, to be able to have a spontaneous online event, to sort of invite you into my home at the spur of the moment and have you spend or take out a little portion of your time to be with me, to just talk about whether I'm talking about a Snickers bar or my grandmother or my trading is really something I don't take for granted. And so I want to extend a really hearty thank you. It's from the bottom of my heart. And every single time I am afforded an opportunity with you, I try my best. I try my best to leave you with something that I think is important or something that you might be able to use in your life. And I'll try to do that today too.
Bueno, quiero que sepan que este espacio es muy especial para mí, más de lo que ustedes saben. Realmente el hecho de yo poder conectarme con ustedes en vivo, en un abrir y cerrar de ojos, la verdad para mí es muy especial. Cada vez que me dan la oportunidad de poder asumir un micrófono y hablar con ustedes, es algo que nunca tomo a la ligera y aprovecho a mucho esto porque amo a cada uno de ustedes.
So I hope you guys got an opportunity to see the live trading session this morning. And I think it went very well. We had at least initially over 5,000 people logged in, watching me trade live. But more important than my trading, more important than, I didn't really want to focus on my trading as much as I wanted to focus and show what we do, what I do with my traders, how I walk them through the market period that we're dealing with, how I point things out, how I'm constantly showing and teaching along the way. So I'm multitasking. I'm trading, teaching, answering questions, setting up lessons, asking questions for my traders and my students to answer. So it was that sort of total way that I wanted the world to basically see. My trading you can see anytime, but that's the special part. It's not how much I make. It's what is the experience of one of my traders, one of my students, one of my mentorees, and that's what I wanted you to see.
Bueno, como saben todos, esta mañana llevé a cabo una sesión voz con acceso para ustedes en YouTube. Este fue un momento especial. Más de 5.000 traders, 5.500 personas conectadas y realmente esto fue un espacio muy agradable. Aproveché el tiempo para llevar a cabo mi trading, pero no quería enfocarme mucho en eso. Realmente quería enfocarme en ustedes, en mis traders, en mostrarles de hecho a ustedes lo que nosotros hacemos todos los días y cuál es la experiencia de uno de mis traders, de uno de mis alumnos, de uno de mis prodigios que está constantemente siendo educado por mí. Así que eso es lo que quería lograr principalmente esta mañana.
So we have someone saying that I'm I guess the word in Spanish is estafa, that I'm a thief. So, hold your pockets because I'm about to tell you a story about my grandmother, and that is the perfect sign of a thief. I'm about to steal your time. These people are absolutely ridiculous.
Y bueno, veo ahí pasar por los comentarios alguien que me dice estafador. Pues esta persona que me dice estafador y ladrón, quiero que se prepare porque vengo con una historia de mi abuela, así que es precisamente lo que les estoy robando, tiempo. Así que todos sentados y escuchen con cuidado lo que tengo para decirle a esta persona. Realmente estas personas son ridículas.
Always remember this, and this story that I'm going to tell you is going to tie into this. Always remember this. Always remember this. That if someone does not like what I do, what I say, what I teach, who I am, but they're here every single time, commenting, watching, spending their time and their life on me, they're my biggest fans. So congratulations.
Bueno, y ya voy a ir a la historia que de hecho quiere hablar mucho de esto, pero lo primero que les diré antes de ir a la historia es lo siguiente. Si tú eres una persona que no está de acuerdo conmigo, que no me quiere, pero siempre estás aquí presente, entonces, amigo, tú eres mi mayor fan. Así que bienvenido y escucha.
Congratulations on all my fans out there.
Felicitaciones a todos mis fans.
Well, guys, look, I don't want to keep you long, but I was actually yesterday reflecting on my grandmother. It's around her birthday time. And my grandmother passed some 15 years ago, and she was someone who was extraordinarily important in my life, traders. I spent the vast majority of my summers living with my grandmother during my school break. And so obviously throughout my time, we had plenty of opportunity to spend a lot of time together. And I have to say that because I spent the vast majority of my summers with my grandmother, she played a very important role in the formation of how I thought, who I am, and the principles that I have today. So she was extraordinarily important to me.
Y bueno, resulta que por esta época del año siempre recuerdo a mi abuela porque está próxima a cumplir años. Entonces esto realmente me hace recordar mis momentos con ella. Resulta que yo pasaba muchos veranos con ella. La mayoría de los veranos podía pasarlos con ella. Entonces, ¿qué hizo esto? Esto hizo que ella fuera una influencia muy importante en mi vida y en el tipo de hombre que soy hoy. Entonces, quiero compartirles unas de esas lecciones que recibí de mi abuela en esa época.
Now, guys, my grandmother was she was very unique. First of all, she lived in Virginia. She was born and raised in a state in the United States called Virginia. And she's African American. Okay. The Spanish part of my family is on my father's side. So this is the mother of my mother, and my mother's African American. So she was an African American woman living in the South, or somewhat of the South, at a very difficult time in history for African Americans.
Y bueno, les doy un contexto sobre mi abuela. Mi abuela es una mujer afroamericana. Ella, la parte latina de mi familia viene de parte de mi abuelo, pero mi abuela era una mujer afroamericana y ella vivía en el sur, o bueno, más o menos el sur de los Estados Unidos, en una época que era difícil.
But yet, back in the 1950s, late 1940s, throughout all of the 50s, my grandmother became the county's #1 entrepreneur. She had over 350 employees working for her, and she became a pillar of the community. She became someone who was greatly respected by all businessmen in the area. Everyone knew my grandmother, and she was one of the best pistol rifle shooting individuals in all of Virginia. It was crazy.
A pesar de esto, en Virginia, en la época, en 1940, 1950, mi abuela se había convertido en la emprendedora más importante, la mujer emprendedora más importante del área en el momento. Todos los comerciantes la reconocían, tenía más de 300 empleados trabajando para ella y además también era reconocida como una de las mejores disparadoras de rifles en la zona.
Well, so I guess I come from sort of an entrepreneurial family. My father was an entrepreneur. My grandmother was an entrepreneur, but her entrepreneurialism was on a really epic scale. And I believe that I was quite fortunate to have time with her as she ran her business. I watched how she dealt with people. I watched the respect that people had for her. I watched her in moments when she was angry. I watched her convince people and bring them to her side of a specific argument. I got a chance to see her in so many different ways. And today I look upon that as a true blessing.
Entonces tuve la oportunidad de compartir con mi abuela siendo parte de mi familia, una familia emprendedora en general, abuela, abuelo, mi padre también lo fue, y yo agradezco mucho el hecho de que yo pude compartir espacios donde, con mi abuela, verla negociar, verla conversar con personas y llevar a cabo lo que ella hacía, así que realmente considero eso una gran bendición.
Now, I would spend summers, about 3 months, maybe a little bit less, 2.5 months, with my grandmother every year with my cousin, who is my same age. I am 54 now, which makes him 54, but from as long as we can remember, throughout our entire childhood, we spent summers together with my grandmother.
Ahora, resulta que yo pasaba los veranos en la casa de mi abuela y yo pasaba los veranos con un primo mío que tenía mi misma edad. Yo tengo 54, por ende él también tiene 54 en este momento y nosotros pasábamos los veranos juntos en casa de la abuela.
Now, when the 1970s rolled around, my grandmother decided to retire, and she handed the reins to my uncles, her sons, who proceeded to basically take the company in a completely different direction, which was not good. But at any rate, my grandmother decided to retire and basically spend the life of leisure starting in the beginning of the 1970s. And it is at this time that I continued to go spend time with my grandmother during the summers that I sort of started to see a very different side of my grandmother.
Ahora, mi abuela en la época de los 70 decidió dejar atrás el negocio y se lo entregó a lo que serían mis tíos. Ellos tomaron la empresa y según mi opinión ellos lo llevaron a un punto en el cual ya no era tan bueno, pero mi abuela decidió vivir una vida retirada y de ocio. Entonces, en esta etapa yo pude conocer una faceta completamente diferente de mi abuela.
That's right, John. John remembers the story. So listen, at the age of 8 years old, just like every other year prior to that, my cousin and I finished school. and we anxiously go visit my grandmother in Virginia. And we both lived in New York. We're born and raised in New York. So at the age of 8, just like every other year, we go to spend the summers with my grandmother. And on a specific day, my grandmother told us, I have something very special for both of you today. And of course, we were very excited. We were like, Grandma, what is it? What is it that you have for us?
Entonces eran un verano más, yo tenía 8 años, obviamente mi primo también, y acuérdense que nosotros pasábamos todos los veranos con mi abuela. Entonces, en este verano, cuando yo tenía 8 años, mi abuela nos dijo, tanto a mi primo y a mí, tengo algo muy especial para ustedes dos. Entonces nosotros le dijimos, ¿qué es, abuela? ¿Qué es?
So, my grandmother says, I think you two are old enough for me to teach you how to catch crabs. What, Grandma? We're going to go catch crabs? And she says, yes, we're going to go to the beach. We're going to catch crabs. But we first need a few things. She says, each one of you will need a basket. And she had 2 baskets ready for us. They were sort of baskets made out of the really thin plywood, as if, you know, the baskets you see in the supermarket with fruit or vegetables inside the basket, right? So she gave 1 basket to my cousin, 1 basket to me. And she said, well, you'll also need a shovel, right? The shovel to pick up the crabs and put them in the basket. And she had a shovel each for each of us and a basket for each of my cousin, for my cousin and me, for our trip to go catch crabs. Sorry, wait. There you go.
Bueno, entonces ella nos dijo, tengo algo especial para ustedes. Resulta que hoy vamos a ir a cazar cangrejos. Vamos a ir a cazar cangrejos, así que tengo para los dos tanto una pala como un balde. Y con esto, mis niños, nosotros vamos a ir a cazar estos cangrejos.
So we're off to the beach. Now, my grandmother didn't live exactly on the beach. We lived 4 blocks away from the beach. So we walked to the beach. And as we approached the beach, as we got on the beach, we immediately saw, like literally, the spot she took us to. There were hundreds of crabs of different sizes, small ones, medium-sized ones, large ones. But this obviously was an area of the beach that was popular for the crabs to congregate.
Entonces, en el momento en que ella nos dijo eso, nosotros fuimos a un lugar donde habían cangrejos. En este lugar donde habían cangrejos rápidamente nos dimos cuenta que había una conglomeración de cientos y cientos de cangrejos por todas partes.
So she gives us some very brief descriptions, some very brief instructions, I should say. She says, listen, just simply she gave us a shovel, and actually we had nets. So she said, simply scoop 1 or 2 crabs up and just dump them in the basket. Make sure they're nice and settled, and repeat. Scoop them up. Now, she says, it's up to you whether or not you want to collect the same type of crab, the same size, or whether you want to do a mixture of sizes and types. That's up to you, but will be done when your baskets are full.
Entonces ella nos dijo, lo que ustedes tienen que hacer es tomar su pala o su red, atraparlos 1 o 2, levantarlos y meterlos en el balde. Después de que Así que ella nos dijo, lo que ustedes tienen que hacer es tomar su pala, o mejor dicho, su red, estábamos utilizando era una red, vayan y cojan los cangrejos, de a 1 o 2, los meten en el balde, permiten que se calmen y luego repiten el proceso y lo vuelven a repetir hasta que llenemos ese balde.
So check this out. My cousin and I dash. We start scooping up, and we always had this competition between us. Who could fill up the basket the fastest? And we're scooping furiously. you know, two at a time, one at a time, sometimes three at a time. But the crabs were scurrying, so it wasn't as easy as we initially thought. But still, we were scooping, and actually, our baskets began to rise with crabs.
Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Mi primo y yo, siendo muy competitivos, lo que siempre hacíamos era ver quién era capaz de llenar más la canasta de cangrejos. Entonces, nos dimos cuenta que no era tan fácil, pero de igual manera cogíamos día uno, cogíamos día dos, con el objetivo de ver quién podía llenar la canasta con estos cangrejos.
So, I began to realize that my basket was about half full. And I realized there's a problem. So I started to get a little nervous, and I run back to my grandmother, who was never really participating with us. She stayed a little ways off from us. So I run back to my grandmother with the basket as fast as I can, because I didn't want my cousin to fill his basket before I filled my basket, right? So I asked her very hurriedly, Grandma, I have a problem. She says, what is it, grandson? I says, well, I have more in my basket than Tony, my cousin, and I realized that my basket is now about half full, but you forgot to give us tops. There's no lids for the basket. And if I keep filling the crabs up, they're going to start escaping. And I may never get it filled up if every time I put crabs in, they're going to be escaping the basket. You forgot lids for us. You forgot tops.
Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Voy a donde mi abuela porque yo le digo, abuela, lo que pasa es que yo ya tengo más cangrejos que mi primo, pero resulta que es que mi canasta se está llenando. ¿Qué hacemos? Abuela, ¿qué hago? Se me van a llenar, se me está llenando la canasta de cangrejos y a ti se te olvidó traer tapas para los baldes. ¿Qué vamos a hacer, abuela?
So she laughed and laughed and laughed, and I was a little confused at the time, to be honest with you. Why is she laughing at my question? All right. And I kept looking back because I wanted to see if my cousin kept filling his basket up. But then she finally told me, she said, Oliver, she said, let me tell you something. We don't need lids when we're dealing with crabs. We don't need tops when we're dealing with crabs. Do you know why? Because no crab will allow his brother or his sister to ever leave that basket. And whenever one of his brothers or sisters tries to climb higher than the rest of the crabs, they will make sure that they reach up to that crab who's trying to escape and pull that crab all the way back in to their level. They will never let another crab escape. And for that reason, we don't ever need tops or lids when we're dealing with crabs.
Entonces, voy yo a donde mi abuela y ella ve que yo estoy como exaltado y yo le digo, abuela, pero ¿qué vamos a hacer? No tenemos tapas, se me van a escapar los cangrejos, todos se me van a salir de la canasta. Y ella se empieza a reír y de hecho yo empiezo a decir, pero ¿por qué se está riendo mi abuela de esta pregunta? En realidad estoy preocupado. Pero es que resulta que ella me dice, Oliver, escucha, cuando nosotros salgamos a cazar cangrejos, nosotros nunca vamos a necesitar tapas, nunca vamos a necesitar tapar esa canasta. Resulta que los cangrejos nunca van a permitir que los otros cangrejos se eleven por encima de ellos. Siempre los van a jalar de vuelta hacia abajo y los van a volver a meter en la canasta.
So my reaction was simple. Oh, really? I ran back and just started scooping furiously. And I realized my grandmother was absolutely right. That I could leave the basket not even attend to it, not even look at it, not even worry, and just come back with more crabs. And they would make sure that every crab who tried to escape did not escape. They would reach up and pull the crab back down to their level. This was a lesson from my grandmother that I never forgot. But I didn't understand the deep significance of that lesson until 20 years later. 20 years later.
Entonces me doy cuenta yo lo que me está intentando enseñar mi abuela y entonces yo digo, por supuesto, es que ni siquiera tengo que tener mi ojo puesto sobre los cangrejos, ellos no se van a escapar. Entonces, ¿qué hice yo? Empecé a correr y a coger más y más cangrejos. Y les cuento algo, solamente 20 años después fue que yo me vine a dar cuenta cuál era la lección real que mi abuela quería darme en ese momento.
I was I was 25 years old. 25, going to be 26 years old. And I decided that I wanted something more than being a professional trader, one of many professional traders at a professional firm. And with great thought and great deliberation, I wasn't sure, I took the plunge. I decided to leave the firm, leave a very, very solid career, leave very decent money to actually take the risk of starting my own company, starting my own firm, and leaving the trenches of the professional traders.
Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Tenía yo 25, 26 años y en ese momento yo decidí que yo no quería ser simplemente un trader exitoso más en una firma profesional. Yo quería hacer algo más. Entonces, a los 25, 26 años, tomé yo la decisión de independizarme y dejar atrás esta firma profesional, dejar atrás un dinero bastante serio y el gremio como tal.
And I actually thought when I made that decision that all the traders whom I befriended, even the traders that I traded with on a desk together for a number of years, people who had been to my home, people who we'd go out after work and spend time with together, how when I decided to leave, everything changed. These people didn't like that. They did not like the fact that I was taking a step to do something bigger, to do something greater. Their attitudes toward me changed. These were people, what I consider to be important people in my lives from a professional point of view. But they called me stupid. They told me that this move would be the worst move I ever made in my career. That how could I think that I was good enough to have my own firm? How could I, being an African American Latin male, make it on Wall Street? How could I be so stupid for being an individual so intelligent? It is at this moment in my life when I couldn't understand why are these people like this now, that my grandmother's lesson snapped at that moment. Oh my God. These are the crabs. This is what my grandmother was trying to explain to me when I was 8 years old. She wasn't giving me a lesson about crab hunting. She was giving me about a lesson about the crabs of life who will do everything in their power to discourage you, to hold you back. They will even put obstacles in your way. They will spread rumors. They will do everything in their power to reach up and pull you down to their level. These are the crabs of life.
Entonces, a esa edad decido yo tomar esa decisión en mi vida. Y resulta que personas que eran importantes para mí a un nivel profesional, personas que yo consideraba amistades, personas que habían ido a mi propio hogar y habían cenado conmigo, de un momento a otro no les gustó esa idea. Me llamaron estúpido, me llamaron loco, me llamaron ingenuo por pensar que un hombre afroamericano con raíces latinas iba a ser capaz de abrir su propia firma de trading y que iba a poder obtener ese gran éxito en Wall Street. Entonces me hicieron a un lado y fue en ese momento, años después, que me di cuenta realmente qué me quería enseñar mi abuela. Mi abuela no me estaba dando una lección sobre cómo cazar cangrejos. Mi abuela me estaba mencionando quiénes eran los cangrejos reales en la vida. Y en ese momento me di cuenta que esos eran los cangrejos de los cuales mi abuela me estaba hablando. Y pude ver cómo ellos, con el solo propósito de hacerlo caer una nuevamente a la canasta, empezaron a difamar, a hablar mal, a crear cosas, a inventarse cosas que no eran, con el propósito de hacerlo uno caer. Entonces, esos son los cangrejos de la vida.
Throughout the vast majority of my career, I have dealt with the crabs of life. But I have never allowed them to pull me back in. Never. They try. And I believe that the crabs of life will always try. Have you ever noticed that when you are miserable, the crabs of life are great? They're content. When you're not doing anything, the crabs of life do nothing. They're calm. They're even your best friends. But the moment that you try to be something, the moment you try to improve yourself, the moment you try to take different steps that are not the steps that they're taking, the moment you try to explore something that they don't explore, the moment you start reading, the moment you start doing anything in your life to separate yourself from the mediocre crabs, that is when you turn those crabs into your number one enemy. It won't matter how nice they were to you when you were miserable like them. It won't matter how great, how much time you spent, and whether you went back and forth and took care of their kids, or they took care of their kids, or you guys went out to dinner together. The moment you start separating yourself from mediocrity, here come the crabs of life. And what my grandmother was trying to teach my cousin Tony and me that fateful day on that beach was not catching physical crabs, but learning that as soon as you start climbing, here come the crabs.
Y esos son los cangrejos. Resulta que yo me he tenido que enfrentar a cangrejos durante toda mi vida. Lo que yo hago es que yo no permito que ellos me influencien. Esos cangrejos aparecen en el momento que es. Entonces resulta que cuando tú en tu vida no estás haciendo nada, no estás aportando algo relevante, cuando no eres nada en la vida, esos cangrejos están ahí. De hecho, son amigos tuyos, conversan contigo, comparten contigo. Esos cangrejos están felices de tenerte a su lado, pero en el momento, en el instante en que tú tomas una decisión decides dejar la mediocridad a un lado y decides tomar las riendas de tu vida para hacer algo mayor que estas personas no están haciendo, entonces ahí aparecen los cangrejos. Los mismos cangrejos que antes cenaban contigo, los mismos cangrejos que antes supuestamente eran tus amigos y hasta cenaron en tu casa. Estos cangrejos aparecen para jalarte hacia abajo en el momento en que tú demuestras valor y que estás haciendo cosas diferentes. Entonces fue ahí que me di cuenta que mi abuela no me estaba enseñando a mí a cazar cangrejos, sino que me estaba enseñando a identificar esas personas que a partir de la envidia iban a intentar jalarme hacia abajo cuando yo estuviera en mi camino al éxito. Y esto nunca se me olvidó.
Now, that wasn't the only time I went crabbing. That was the first time. And I would watch them. I would watch the basket almost full. And I used to watch their movements, their behaviors. And it was amazing to me how calm they could be in captivity, resting. I used to think about the crabs at the very bottom of 100, 150 other crabs on top of these crabs. And yet they were calm, normal, content, like captivity was okay. But the moment one moved and tried to climb higher, they all got active. Every single crab in that basket contributed to pulling that crab back down, as if to say, where do you think you're going? Who do you think you are? You're one of us. And as long as no crab tried to move out of the basket was as calm as can be.
Entonces, esta no fue la única vez que yo fui a cazar cangrejos, fue la primera, pero muchas veces volví. Y cuando yo volvía a cazar cangrejos, siempre me quedaba mirándolos y me impactaba la manera en que ellos podían permanecer siendo dóciles, calmados, neutros, básicamente por el hecho de estar atrapados, por estar en cautiverio. Yo podía ver cómo habían 100 cangrejos en la canasta y los que estaban en el fondo, sintiendo el peso de los de arriba, podían estar en silencio, calmados, inactivos. Pero en el momento, en el instante en que uno de ellos decidía intentar salir de la canasta, absolutamente todos se ponían activos y empezaban a moverse y empezaban a hablar, intentando hacer que aquel que intentó moverse en la canasta volviera a ser parte de ellos.
Nations today, nations
Un segundo, por favor. Guys, 1 second. Oliver seems to have lost his image, his sound. Okay, he's back.
All right, let me try that again. Thank you. All right. What I was saying, guys, is that nations today, nations, counties, regions use the very crab concept that my grandmother taught me on people. So, for instance, throughout history, there have been certain groups of people that want to keep another group of people away from their area. So we don't want that kind of person coming over here. And so what many of them did was to basically ensure that they create a zone with only one type of person, whether it was all poor people or whether it was all black people or all Jewish people or all Italian people or whatever. All right. So one homogeneous basket. And what nations and regions have realized is that we don't even have to put gates up to prevent them from spilling over into our neighborhoods. We don't need a top on the neighborhood. We don't need a lid on the neighborhood. You know why? Because these crabs will never let a single individual leave their area. When one tries to rise above this poor little neighborhood, when one tries to become educated out of this poor little neighborhood, we're not going to worry, because all of the rest of those crabs will apply pressure so deep and so hard. Who do you think you are? What do you mean you're trying to move away? We're not good enough? This is where you were born. This is where you come from. Honor where you come from. Honor us. What are you doing studying? What are you doing trying to make yourself better? For what? To leave us? No. You never forget where you came from. That's a crab concept. You always pay homage to your neighborhood. You always go back. You always honor. You always give. Crabs talking. Crab concept, crab concept, crab concept. But it's effective. It's effective at keeping certain segments of the population down. It's effective for keeping you down if you're not aware of it. But because of my grandmother, I never let the crabs of life hold me back ever in my entire life. And I will be damned if I begin doing that now. Crabs are here with us forever, but I will never stop rising. I will never stop improving. I will never stop pressing forward, and I will never stop being me. I don't care how many crabs crawl out of from under their rock. They can reach up as high as they want to. I am determined to be so high and so far above any crab out there that you can't reach me. And I think that you should do the same thing. I have that attitude because of my grandmother. And I'm hoping that if you never heard of this concept, you have that attitude because of me. I am passing it on, Grandma. I am passing it on.
Resulta que las naciones, los gobiernos, los estados conocen este concepto de los cangrejos y han utilizado este concepto de los cangrejos para mantener subyugadas a ciertas demográficas de la población. No importa que hayan sido comunidades negras, italianas, latinas, judíos, siempre se ha visto cómo las comunidades han sido puestas en un mismo lugar, con el objetivo de que entre ellas solo se mezclen y no se junten con la otra población. ¿Por qué? Porque los gobiernos saben esto. Al juntar a las mismas personas juntas, subyugadas en un espacio y en un mismo barrio, resulta que estas mismas personas se encargarán de que nadie salga de ahí. Se encargarán de criticar y por debajear y hablar mal de aquel que hace las cosas bien. ¿Cómo así que estás estudiando? ¿Cómo así que estás haciendo las cosas diferente? ¿Quién te crees? ¿Para dónde crees que vas? ¿Con qué derecho te crees a intentar salir de nuestro barrio? ¿Quién eres? Entonces estos son los cangrejos de la vida y siempre van a estar presentes en nuestras vidas. Estas personas se encargan de que uno no pueda salir adelante. Y esta mentalidad de que uno tiene siempre que recordar de dónde vino es una mentalidad de cangrejo. Ay, es que siempre tienes que acordarte de dónde vienes y entonces no puedes olvidarte de dónde estás y entonces ven que es que tienes que quedarte acá contribuyendo a tu lugar. Y esto todos son mentalidades de cangrejos, lo cual sirven para mantener a cierta demográfica de la población subyugada durante la historia. Esto sucede hoy y sucede siempre. Entonces yo he tenido que enfrentar este tipo de cosas todos los días y me niego a prestarle atención. Yo estoy destinado a estar en un nivel tan elevado que estos cangrejos no puedan acercarse a mí, así lo intenten. Y si lo intentan y logran tocarme, pues nunca voy a dejar que hagan que yo caiga nuevamente al nivel donde ellos están, porque esa es la mentalidad de los cangrejos. Y esto es lo que mi madre me explicó a mí, lo que mi abuela me explicó a mí. Entonces hoy le digo a mi abuela, muchas gracias abuela por enseñarme esto y quiero que sepas que se lo estoy pasando a las personas.
Santi, that's just freaking amazing, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Wow. Remember when I told you that the crabs were usually doing nothing, relaxing, content, until one started to rise. And there's significance in this. What kind of man, what type of man focuses his life and his energy on the rise of another man? Think about this question. What kind of man, what type of man focuses his life, his time, his being on the rise of another man? That is not a man. That is a crab. And I want you to take this and I want you to direct this in your life. Take my grandmother's lesson and direct this in your life. Anyone who will put effort and time into bringing another down, instead of putting effort and time into what they do, what they're about, their dreams, their hopes, their desires, their family, instead of focusing on their family, they're going to focus on you. That is not a human being. That is not a man. That is not a woman. That is a crab. And I want you to be able to make the distinction between crabs, between men, real women, and real freaking human beings. Crabs are not human beings. They are lower than human beings. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments if you understand what I'm telling you.
Entonces, recuerdan que yo les había dicho que estos cangrejos se mantenían inactivos hasta que uno de ellos decidía intentar escapar de la canasta. Bueno, pues entonces tengo una pregunta para ustedes. ¿Qué tipo de hombre se enfoca en el progreso de otro hombre? Piensen con cuidado en esa pregunta. ¿Qué tipo de hombre se enfoca en el proceso de otro hombre? La respuesta es ningún hombre. El que se enfoca en el proceso de alguien más no es un hombre, es un cangrejo. ¿Qué tipo de hombre se enfocaría en alguien más en vez de enfocarse en su propio proceso? En vez de gastar energía enfocado en lo que están haciendo los demás, él debería estar enfocado en lo que él está haciendo. Entonces es muy importante hacer esta distinción, esta distinción tan relevante entre un hombre, una mujer o un cangrejo.
Now, traders, there have been many times throughout my life where the crabs just started coming out with force. And it was always when I started rising at a more rapid rate than normal. And it excited the crabs to start coming out in force. Today, I am so used to this that I use it as a symbol that I'm doing the right thing. Because there are periods when the crabs are not crabbing. And I'm like, wait a minute, that means I'm not freaking pushing hard enough. I'm not in their faces hard enough. I'm not rising fast enough. I've got to focus more. I've got to do more. Because when those crabs get silent for too long, it's a sign of my mediocrity. And that I will not allow.
Y algo que yo he notado en mi vida es precisamente lo que les digo, los cangrejos de la vida parece que se alborotan en el momento en el cual yo voy acelerando y voy teniendo resultados más rápidos de lo esperado. Entonces yo, viendo este patrón en mi vida, de hecho yo he tomado esto como una señal. Cuando los cangrejos no están siendo cangrejos y están en silencio, ¿eso para mí qué quiere decir? Que no estoy empujando lo suficiente, que no estoy yendo lo suficientemente rápido. Entonces esta es una señal para mí, para darla toda en mi vida.
For traders, that was the lesson I wanted to share with you today from my grandmother. And it's a lesson that I was reflecting on yesterday as I was reflecting on her.
Así que traders, esa era la lección que quería darles, la lección que me dio mi abuela. Y ayer estaba reflexionando sobre esta lección a medida que reflexionaba sobre ella.
My final takeaway from this, traders, I implore you, I beg you, try your very best not to get distracted by the crabs of life. They don't help you do anything. They don't contribute to anything. They only appeal to the base elements inside of you, the lowest parts of your being. They don't contribute to your increased knowledge of of trading or the markets. They don't help you press the buy button or the sell button better. They don't add anything of value to you. Nothing. Crabs don't add value. All they do is distract and hold you back. Don't allow this. Don't allow this. Be careful who you give your attention to. Be careful who you give your time to, because when you give those things, which are those are your commodities, the valuable commodities you have, your life, your time, your attention. When you give your life, your time, and your attention to crabs, then you ultimately become one. Be careful. Protect your mind, protect your thoughts. Keep the crabs out of sight. Don't give one iota of attention to them. Focus on rising and making sure that every Monday you are better than last Monday. And every Tuesday you are better than last Tuesday. And whatever it is that you do, and if you live your life that way, you won't have time to give your most valuable commodities to these useless crabs out there.
Entonces, ya dándoles esta lección tan importante, lo único que yo les puedo pedir a ustedes es que hagan todo lo posible por no dejarse influenciar por esos cangrejos que claramente están ahí afuera. Estos cangrejos quieren robarte la energía, estos cangrejos quieren robarte tu tiempo y es muy importante que tú cuides tu mente y que no te dejes influenciar, porque esto es lo que ellos están buscando. Así que es importante ver qué estás dejando que entre en tu sistema. Es muy importante saber que esto te puede hacer daño. Entonces, por eso debes mantenerte alineado y no permitir que estos cangrejos tengan una influencia en tu vida, porque créeme que lo van a intentar. Ellos no aportan nada a tu proceso, solamente te hacen sentir de cierta manera porque hablan a las partes más básicas de tu ser que de cierto modo lo necesitan. Entonces evade esto, intenta mantener tu mente pura y no te dejes influenciar o mal influenciar de estos cangrejos en tu vida.
Well, listen, in closing, I will tell you that I vowed a long time ago when I was in my closet crying on the brink of quitting this journey, depressed, literally destroyed. And I vowed to myself that if I ever made it, I would do everything in my power. I would dedicate a portion of my life to laying down a foundation of solid, valuable, useful information and knowledge, the very things that I searched for and couldn't find back in the 1980s. And I truly hope you see that here today. I hope that this channel reflects my desire to just give, to just lay this foundation like I promised a long time ago. I work many hours to put something of value in your hands every single day. And I just hope that the intention behind that is understood and it is felt and it is seen by you. It is no attempt to outwit you, to conquer you, to destroy you, to take from you. No, it's quite the contrary. It's an effort to give to you. I just live from that faith I've had since a child that if I do things like that, I will always be blessed. And that is what you get from me, traders. You never see me talking negative about people, even if they deserve it. You never see me trying to bring someone down. My whole existence is about bringing people up. That's who I am. And if that is something you don't see, then you shouldn't be here, period. But I want you to know I love you, and that is, I hope, what you see from me. I hope you see that love from me.
Entonces ya para cerrar, traders, lo que les digo es que cuando yo lo logré, después de 6 años dolorosos y después de pasar por esa oscuridad tan tremenda en mi vida, tan oscuro ese periodo fue, que cuando yo lo logré y pude ver la luz, yo me prometí a mí mismo que cuando tuviera todo, yo iba a hacer todo lo posible por brindarle a aquellas personas que como yo iban a tener que pasar por esa oscuridad, que tuvieran absolutamente todas las herramientas, todo el conocimiento, todo el acompañamiento durante el proceso como yo no lo tuve. Entonces eso es lo que yo quiero hacer el día de hoy. Y yo quiero que ustedes, o espero que ustedes a través de este canal puedan sentir eso y que puedan conectarse con esa realidad de que yo lo que quiero es aportarles valor. En ningún momento ustedes verán que yo estoy intentando ir en contra de ustedes o estoy intentando hacer algo malo. Aquí lo único que estoy intentando hacer es ser una luz para ustedes. A pesar del hecho que hay personas de que se merecen que yo hable mal de ellas, ustedes nunca me van a escuchar a mí hablando mal de nadie, aunque se lo merezca, porque yo no soy un cangrejo más que intenta jalar las personas hacia abajo. Yo me enfoco en lo mío y en los míos. Y yo quiero que ustedes genuinamente sientan ese mensaje el día de hoy aquí conmigo.
I'm reading your comments now, guys, and you really touched me. It's so true. And I thank you so very much. I thank you for being here. I thank you for taking your time and your attention to give it to me. And so I want to leave you now, but I want to leave you with you knowing that I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I will continue every single day to show that appreciation to you. All right? We have a lot of work to do. We will do it together day by day, week by week. There will be nothing else but focusing on all of us becoming better, stronger, and more powerful. Nothing else. No negativity. None of that nonsense is going to go on here, okay? I love you guys. Love you. Ciao. Good night.
Y estoy viendo sus comentarios y quiero decirles que realmente me impactan. Recibo su aprecio y también quiero decirles a ustedes que yo los aprecio y que ustedes van a seguir recibiendo esa buena luz de mí. Créanme que estoy dedicado a ser mejor cada día y también a hacer que ustedes sean mejores cada día. Así que sigamos conectados y nuevamente los aprecio a cada uno de ustedes. Entonces muchas gracias por estar aquí y sepan que vamos adelante y vamos con toda. Gracias.
Ciao, guys. Ciao. Let's close out with some music. No, why not? Why not? Yeah.